After the three finalists have presented, we would like your feedback. If you're in person, there are QR codes throughout the room here in the best room. Or if you're watching virtually, it's on the front of our website, hsdvt.com. Our first candidate for the Assistant Superintendent position is Aron Tomlinson. Aron is currently the Director of Workforce Development at the Hartford Area Career and Technology Center. Without further ado, Aron.
Thank you, Jacob. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming to this. Jacob's going to bring something up here, and we're going to talk a little bit about me. So my goal for doing this is to just introduce myself a little bit. I have 10 minutes, so I wasn't really able to put together a big presentation or anything to talk about. But I think it's really important for folks to know who I am and why I'm passionate about where I am right now in pursuit of this position. So we can go to the next slide, please. Thanks. So also there's handouts up here. If you would like, you can take one and follow along. But I'm just going to talk a little bit about, thank you, me. So I've been here at the Hartford Tech Center for 18 years. I've been in the district 18 years. So I came here as a culinary arts instructor. I was a culinary arts instructor here for about a decade. And then I moved into the curriculum instruction and assessment coordinator position, where I was able to work with all of the programs, building curriculum, credentials, post-secondary. It was really a position that was really ingrained with flexible pathways, which all of the things that we did here at the Tech Center. So I did that, and then 3 years ago, I went and got my principalship and started, really at that point, the adult ed program had gone defunct because of COVID, and there wasn't just anything going on. So I have rebuilt that program, and a lot of the work that I've done was with the community members and community partners to say, what is needed? And so we've really had a focus on healthcare, trades, electricians, some of those kinds of things to really help build support for the community. So I've been here for 18 years doing that. I've been married for 30 years next month. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get there. It's and I have a son. Community service something for me right now, and this is really important. I feel like community is just a giant part of what we do in education. I have always been a community servant. I've done did the community dinners for years on Christmas Day for our community. I've coached, as you can see there, for decades through all levels. But one of the things I'm really proud of right now is I'm on the state of Vermont Workforce Development Board, and I represent underserved groups and youth. And I've really seen something, and part of the reason that I'm on that board now is because when I started working in the adult ed world, I saw that there was a real big gap and there's a lot of barriers for folks. And so I really wanted to be able to have more voice with that. So I'm on that. I was also the vice president of the American Culinary Federation for 16 years, and we worked to do scholarships for kids going into food service careers. We did membership drives. We did all those kinds of things to try to make sure that we had a nice core of local culinary and food service professionals that we could build from. And then as part of that too, I was on the advisory committee for the culinary arts program in where I live now in Bradford for about 30 years. So I really feel like it's important to give back and be connected with the community. Things you can expect from me, I am a people first priority person. Everything that we do is people first, and we always talk about our students and students being first, and I 100% support that, but it also is about faculty and staff and every person in our buildings that we come in contact with. So I think that's joy. I try to spread joy as much as I can. I have a pretty good sense of humor. I sometimes have some shenanigans around, but I think it's important for culture, for people to feel appreciated and enjoy coming to work every day. And so I think that's important. Another thing is I put on there is I have really a very good risotto. So, so that's good. So along with the kind of this part is 20 years in food service. So if there's anybody that's ever worked in food service, that is a world of its own, and that is constant chaos. And I love the pace and I love the chaos. And part of my thought with being an assistant superintendent is my world will become bigger, and I love the thought of working on bigger things and having more influence on more people, and that really excites me. So, kind of why me, why now is it's this district. So I've been in this district for 18 years. I was not actively looking for, I want to go somewhere else and do this thing. And it was really over the last couple of years, I've been thinking, you know, I'd like to think about doing something different. I'd gotten my administration license, working towards those things. And then as things started kind of coming together, we have a new superintendent, there's some new vision, there's, and I'll talk a little bit about the vision of a graduate in a second. There's a lot of things that really excite me that we're doing here. The change in the position from having an assistant superintendent now, where we used to have 2 curriculum people, and so we had curriculum at secondary and curriculum at elementary, and then there were like some supervisory superintendent kind of work in their work, and I think it's really, really important and a really nice move to have the separation in those duties. And so that really excited me looking at some of the things. Some of the work that I had done in food service with building systems and working with a diverse group of people to try to build capacity, I really enjoy that kind of stuff, and I think my experience with those things lend themselves really well to this position and what they're doing. Of course, you still have to have all the education stuff. You have to have your master's in education. You have to, I have all those things too, but I really think my non-traditional path to get here is really an advantage. I also love the fact that as a tech ed person, when I came to the tech center, I had an associate's degree from a community college in culinary arts. So for me to be standing here talking about a finalist for the assistant superintendent shows that this district really is looking towards the future of education. There is change coming. There's a lot of change coming, and embracing it, looking at it through a different lens, I think is really important. And I think it shows the district's commitment to that by having finalists with very different backgrounds. Well, I shouldn't say that, I don't know the other people's backgrounds, but the backgrounds of like where I'm coming from is very different than a normal education path. And so I really appreciate that as, and I've taken a lot of pride in that and making it to this point with that different journey. So I have another couple quick, nope, not yet, thanks. We have that. So the change part and the vision of a graduate. The vision of a graduate, so we've started and we've put some of the things together. One of the things that went out to the public was educating students require an entire community. Students, teachers, support staff, administrators, parents, families, businesses, and all those that were connected to Hartford. I could not agree with that more. I think it is going to take everybody to be involved and to do that. I feel like some of my greatest strengths are collaboration, working with people, trying to help others build capacity, helping people find what makes them tick, what gets them excited, and working towards those things. Having the vision of a graduate as an anchoring point for us to work from with all of the changes that are coming, I think is a great way for us to really stay focused on the importance of what we're trying to do with students. So, and I believe that's my 10 minutes. So, and again, that's just the vision of a graduate and the importance of those things.
Okay, we're at the question portion of our event here. So if you have a question, please come up to the microphone. And if you're on Zoom, please raise your hand.
Am I allowed to give a statement?
Sure.
So my name's Patrick Gobel. I'm a teacher at the Tech Center. I've also had my career start very similar to Aron's. And as a person who has supported me into the successes that I've had in this career, I couldn't have done it without Aron. Aron is a absolute guru of curriculum. He has come in, he has helped almost every single program in this school be the best they can. He is a forward thinker. He is always looking out for the best of people, and he's never, ever, ever put up a wall to anybody's ideas. He's always been open to things that are outside of the box. And to be honest with you, I don't think this tech center would be what it is without his presence. So it's awful hard for me to see him apply for this position. But what's even more important is being a forward thinker. Education is changing in this state. And there's a lot of opportunity for us to have a representative in the door for the future of tech education as well, being that we're redistricting the tech education portion of this state as well. So there's a lot of knowledge that goes with Aron Tomlinson. I've known him for a long time, and I can advocate that this person has never wavered on who he is as a human being, and he's always been fantastic, and I think he will have everybody's best interests in mind. Not only that, but Aron also spearheaded the district equity policies that came into play with the JEDI, being one of the founders of the JEDI group, which is Thank you. I'm nervous. I'm nervous talking right now. And, you know, like all these things that Aron has really pieced together has made the community of learning and education here, at least, and I can speak for the Tech Center alone, he has really made it an incredible experience. I've seen him outside of this Tech Center with the bass fishing team, where he has raised a group of kids to come into a team and went and actually competed in the nationals and was successful. So his ability to lead is, I just don't think it can be matched by many people. That's all I have to say. And thank you, Aron, for coming in.
Any other questions before we go to our pre-filled questions? Nicole?
It kind of goes with, thank you for sharing what you had just shared. But thinking about your experience at the Tech Center, how do you see that benefiting the entire district? Can you talk about some specific pieces that you might be thinking of already?
Sure. Thank you. So with the amount of change and uncertainty, I think it is absolutely important for us to find joy in our work. And I think rallying people together, people feeling valued, people feeling, I think, is so important to the work that we do here. Like just who I am when I come to work, I check in with people and see how they are. We have an incredible staff here. Their teachers are awesome, district-wide. We can't lose sight of they're humans that are going through stuff too, and it is just so, it's vital that we take care of our people, and that's just always been who I am, and I think that's important. How that looks, I know how it looks here, and how it looks for me here. The way I am will carry over. I don't know how that looks a little more globally yet, because I haven't been in the other schools and understand some of their culture, but I will spend a lot of time in schools learning cultures, I need a certain kid fix as well, so I will need to be with kids as well. So those are some thoughts on that. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Aaron, we have some fun questions here for you in case we have a
Can't
break.
wait,
So,
thanks.
which animal best describes your leadership style and why?
Who came up with that?
Julia?
Did you say Julia?
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, it's got to be something in a herd, because I'm about people and collaboration, and so something with a herd mentality would be, Oh, thank you, Julia. Anybody have any thoughts on a good herd leader? Well, I thought of that too, but yeah. Can we go to number 2, please?
Sure. So, what do you think would be the hardest aspects of this job?
Balance, probably. I am a type of person that when I am invested in something, I am all in, and this is a big job. And trying to strike a balance of what I'm working on, when I'm working on it, knowing that your time's not your own oftentimes. So that would be a bit of a struggle. And I think, moving from a colleague to a potential supervisor for administrators in the district could be challenging. I don't see it. I don't think it will be at all. We have just an incredible group of people here. But I mean, that certainly could be a challenge.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Aron, what is your vision for the Hartford School District?
I would love to see the district. So actually, during my interview, one of the questions I asked the interview team was, where are we hoping to be in 3 years or 5 years? I would love to see every student have whatever opportunity makes their heart sing. I would love to see tech ed and experiential learning and those kinds of opportunities be ingrained in as much education as possible. I would love to see our older students mentoring younger students more frequently. I know we do some of that now, but I think that is so important. I think it's important for our young students' growth, but I think it is equally as valuable for our older students' growth. So I think that would really be pretty awesome. And to get through all of the PCB stuff and have people feeling okay about that, because that's going to, between the tech center and the high school, there's a lot that's going to have to happen there. So people feeling good.
Okay. Any other questions from the audience or Zoom? Okay. Aron, in this position, you would have a leadership role in implementing, maintaining, and assessing an effective supervision and evaluation system. What might this look like based on your experience?
So I've done the evaluation system here at the Tech Center for a number of years. I haven't done it, well, I've started again this year, but for a couple years I hadn't done it. I think it is vital for people to get consistent feedback. It's not I'm going to go into a classroom once a year and see this snapshot of this person's work and give them feedback on it. I don't think that works. I don't think that's valuable. So it really is trying to build a system where people get consistent feedback. They get different versions of feedback. So it might be a small version here. It might be a longer version here. And I think it's really important for the teacher or whoever's being evaluated to have input in their growth. So it's not me coming in and saying, hey, ex-teacher, here's what I see, fix it. It's how do you want to grow? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? What can I support you with? What can I help you with? And help them progress as educators, learners.
Okay. Any other questions?
Joseph, you're dying to say something down there. No, all right.
All right.
I can say something. Sure, I'll say something real quick. My name is Joseph Gowan. I'm a student here at Hartford. I'm not quite as good at speaking as this gentleman up here, but I've encountered firsthand the effect of, we'll call him OC, but the effect Aron has on his environment. He brings a level-headedness and a clear-sighted something, whatever, to any situation he's in, and he brings a sincerity with him everywhere that is hard to find in a lot of other people. I truly believe that he has the ability to impact our entire district as positively as he has our community here at the HACTC. And I know I'm eternally grateful for the work he's done for me and how much he's helped me. And I know he's done that for each and every person he's met in his life, and I know he will continue to do that. And so I really hope to see him move on to bigger and brighter things where he can bring his vision and his hope for the future and share it with a lot more people. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right. If there's any questions on Zoom, again, please raise your hand. Aron, if you were to get this job, how would you know that you had been successful 5 years from now?
"5 years from now." I think we would be continuing to build systems. There would be, so one of the things, like a year and a half ago, I was working on, I had a go big or go home goal, and that was for the Hartford district to be a school leader, not just, and this was like, I was looking at it through a tech lens, but I was like, we need to do this in a district-wide. This isn't a school thing, this is a district thing. And it was to create pathways for every single student, non-traditional, whatever, that they got. There were mentorships they had within the community. There were their learning opportunities if they were college-bound, if they were work-bound, if they were whichever path they went, they were prepared, and that there was an educational pathway for them that we had helped them build. And the importance of that is it was theirs. So it was students having their own, not their own way, but they were able to help have a say in which direction they were going, not like, we're doing this thing, then we're doing this thing, then we're doing this thing. It was, there's all of these opportunities, let's kind of pick, match, and so every student's journey might look a little different, but it matches them. And I would love to help create a system for that for the district where other districts are envious.
Thank you.
Or want to copy it. But I'm a little competitive, so envious first.
Okay. So we have about 5 minutes left. Are there any other questions for Aron at this time or comments?
Sorry, I'm coming up twice, I'm doing it. You talked about working with underserved adults as part of your role. What do you think that they would say that they would want for you to bring to Hartford? Like knowing kind of what they know, and does that question make sense to you?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thank you. I think they would want me to help help remove whatever barriers that they had. So, for instance, if a student is English as a second language, every single thing navigating for finances is in English. And like, how do we support and how do we put things in place so that those folks can also navigate how to get the information? So it's not only we're opening up doorways for these folks, it's also helping them with the ability to navigate that effectively.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Aron? Hearing none and seeing none. Aron, are there anything you would like to add or talk about?
No, I just want to say thank you all for being here. Again, I feel very privileged to be a finalist for this, and thank you. Vote well.
Aron, thank you for your time. Folks, if you're tuning in, we'll be back at 4 o'clock for our next candidate, and we'll take a brief intermission. Thanks. All right. Okay, welcome back. Our second candidate for the Assistant Superintendent position is Nicole Bell. Nicole is currently the Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment for Orangey Supervisory Union. So without further ado, Nicole.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for coming. My name is Nicole Bell, and as I just said, I'm the Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment at Orangey Supervisory Union. Just a little bit about myself. I'm married. I have 2 kids. They're twins in college, so they're older. I wanted to include a picture of myself, and I spent a lot of time looking, and I realized I'm the one who's always taking pictures, so I couldn't find one. But I found, this is a picture of me skiing, and I would say if anyone ever asked about our family, they would say we're a ski family. We spent, our kids started skiing when they were 22 months old. And they are phenomenal skiers, let me tell you. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So I cropped this picture, and I'm happy. I'm happy when I'm outside. I'm in the winter and skiing, and it's just it's a little bit about me. I also fancy myself as a do-it-yourselfer. I paint for house projects. I paint walls and trim my tile and backsplashes. I think I'm good. I don't know if I really am, but I think I'm good. And nobody's ever said that. Wow, what happened here? So we go to the next one. Thank you. So when I think about my core values as an educator, it's these quotes, these 2 quotes, and I thought, where's that quote? I know what that is. And so I pulled out these quotes, and the first one, George Evans is an illustrator. Okay, thank you. George Evans, he's an illustrator. So his quote is, "Every student can learn, just not on the same day or in the same way." I believe this 100%, and I think that I've carried this as a parent. I have twins, 15 minutes apart, nothing alike. And I have all through teaching, and there's nothing so more true, I feel, than this statement. I feel that this quote is about how each student and every student can learn, and I totally believe that, that each student has the potential to grow, and that students grow at different times and different paces. I think it speaks to the need for diverse learning and for inclusive settings. The other quote, "Children must be taught how to think, not what to think," Margaret Mead. I think this quote signifies the importance of teaching our kids how to be independent thinkers, critical thinkers. Kids need to analyze and evaluate and reason. I think these are really, really important skills, especially in today's world. So when I think, when I pull those core values out, it's these 2 quotes, and it's those concepts that kind of drive me in my work every day. So, what would I bring to this district? I bring a variety of experience. I've been in education now probably about 27 years. I started as a tutor. I was working for a newspaper and walking a couple blocks down the street to a middle school and working with students on my lunch hour. I've been a teacher in an alternative setting, a classroom and residential teacher, in a neurological behavior program. And so it was students with cognitive impairments as well as they've experienced trauma. They also experienced trauma. Probably one of the most challenging jobs I've ever had, but really provided me with some really good experience for managing a lot of different situations. And so I was a classroom teacher. I taught 1st grade, 4th grade, 6th grade math and science. I was an instructional coach for a district-wide instructional coach, pre-K through 12th grade, across 4 schools. I've been a district administrator now for 8 years. So that's kind of, the background that I'm bringing with me. My job at OESU, when I was just telling, when I met with the administrative council, I was talking about how when I took that job, it was at a time of just kind of turbulence in the district. There was a lot of turnover. Act 46 was happening. We were growing, and we weren't ready for it. A merged district was coming in. It was, all these things were happening, and it was a great opportunity to grow professionally and to help be a part of a team that built a system, and we put systems in place, and we really, we created departments that needed to be there but weren't there, like technology, things like that. It was a really tough time for Orange East, and I think I'm proud to say I was part of a team that got them back on the right track. So, what I bring, to, I guess what I bring is that experience and all of these other experiences as well. But, the past 7 years and 8 years total in administration, but 7 at Orange East, I developed this, bird's eye view of a system, as well as a boots on the ground perspective. And I think that when I looked at your job description, I was like, wow, I could do that. I've done a lot of those things, and then there's also room for new growth too. So I was really excited about that. Why Hartford? So why Hartford? So the role, I think it was all timing. I was thinking about, new challenges and next steps. And then, as I just said, I saw your advertisement, and I thought, wow, I have direct experience with just about everything on that list of job requirements. And I thought, there's also room for professional growth and new learning. And so it seemed great. And then I thought, I've had some interactions with people from Hartford, through McKinney-Vento, which is a Homeless Education Act. We have shared families. I oversee that program in our district. So sometimes we have families that move down here, and we're sharing them. The interactions that I've had with folks here have always been really positive, really professional, and I just feel this overall sense of commitment to students. So I thought about that. Recently, I had one of the teachers in the district where I am at, they reached out to me, and they tell me that the Dothan-Brook teachers have told them that this class for Orton Gillingham is much better than the Stern Center, and they want to go to this class. And so, there's just that connection, and I just thought, okay, there's a lot of similar, there seems to be a good community feel here. There seems to be a commitment to student learning and student growth. And, that's what I'm all about. So then I start looking at your newsletters online, and I'm thinking, wow, there's so many great things happening. And I just feel a real sense of community. I think sitting with the administrative council there, and hearing, I've had everybody share a success, and just talking about all these great things that are happening. And sometimes from the challenges and the adversity come these really great experiences that pull teams together. And that's kind of the sense that I got today, just now talking in there. As far as this process, it's been a great experience. I will share, this is kind of humbling, but I was really glad to arrive at the interview early so that somebody could hand me the interview questions so that I had a chance to look them over. And I said, oh boy, wow. So I was, but that's what I like. That's an elevated bar, and I like that. And that's the sense that I've felt since I've been here. I've, the process, sure, there's, many districts do public forums, but I'm presenting, and I have to prepare. I had to prepare for a meeting, and I like that. I appreciate that sense of an elevated bar. I really do. I appreciate that. So So I applied, and I guess, I was lucky enough to get asked back, so here I am. So does anybody have any questions for me?
Okay, we're at the question portion. So for those of you on Zoom, if you have a question for Nicole, please raise your hand. Otherwise, we'll go into some of the formatted questions.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
How would your colleagues describe working with you?
Let's see. I think my colleagues would say I'm dependable and supportable and that they can count on me. So when I took my job at Orange East and they had all that turnover that I was speaking about, one of the principals, I was trying to, we need to look at data, how about, and we're talking about this, and I'm thinking, all right, presenting, doing my job. And one of the principals said, why should we listen to you? You're not even going to be here next year. And I was like, oh, and I feel, and so you get caught in that moment. And you have to remember where somebody might be coming from. A sheer frustration of all the turnover and the, turnover in leadership. And, so it took me off guard. I'm new to the job. And now that principal and I are like this, and, she's always telling me how she can count on me and how dependable I am. I think as far as, I think I'm energetic. I will roll up my sleeves and get involved and get in there, and I'm supportive. I think to humble myself a little bit, I think if someone might find me challenging, I don't know, there's this activity you do for your leadership style, and it's a compass. And I've done it 3 times. I always come out as a north. And a north is like, you see the end and you are just like, we're getting this done. And sometimes you have to look at the other, in the peripheral a little bit. I have learned that about myself. I've come a long way. I've learned that about myself. I am conscious and aware of it, and I try to make sure that I'm including other perspectives when I'm just so excited to get, to accomplish that goal. So.
Okay, any other questions for Nicole?
Hi, Nicole.
Hi.
Good name. As another Nicole. In this position, you would have a leadership role in implementing, maintaining, and assessing an effective I'm going to start over. Okay, try that again. You would be leading, implementing, and assessing a new supervisory and evaluation system, potentially moving forward. So what would you bring to the table about what you've done in your experience, and what do you see that looking like?
Sure. I'm actually facilitating that work. I have been facilitating that work over the past couple of years at Orange East. We, as a product of the turnover I was talking about, we saw the need for a more robust, rigorous supervision and evaluation program or model, and I put in a mentoring program, and because we had one in our collective bargaining agreement and didn't it was in there, but it didn't exist. So we put in a mentoring program, and we partnered with Vermont NEA, and we put in a Mentoring Matters program, and the teachers really like it. It's great training. Vermont NEA provides the training. And so it's not that expensive. So we've been doing that for years, and I do a survey every year on our mentor program to inform, and the teachers and the mentors and the mentees are always saying, this is really great, but how come it doesn't really align with our supervision and evaluation program or model? And so finally, like about 2 years ago, we were like, this is it. This is the year we're going to start tackling this. And I formed a committee of central office administrators, principals, teachers, special, a cross section of teachers, special education, classroom intervention, and we got together and we've been working, and we did some training with Danielson Framework for Teaching. We did a lot of training there. Looked at some other models. We obtained some models from neighboring, just from districts in Vermont. We started to pull together this work. And so over the past 2 years, we have finished our draft. We are implementing, it's kind of like a pilot year next year, because I would like, sometimes you have to use it. You have to use a tool like that, and you have to, and we have to get in there and we have to say, oh wow, that walkthrough was just so cumbersome or whatever. We have to get in there and use it. So next year is our pilot year, and then the committee will reconvene. We'll look at the feedback and either make revisions or go into full implementation. I rolled it out to our leadership team. It'd be the administrative council here. So we've already presented that. This summer, the plan is to talk about how to roll that out to the staff. So.
Any other questions for Nicole? Okay. Nicole, what is your vision for the Hartford School District?
To be the best district it can be. So my vision, I guess it would be a shared vision. I think that I would probably come in and work with the team to prioritize. I've learned that the Hartford School District has finished or is working on or just about finished the vision of a graduate, and I think I would probably look to actualizing that vision, right? Like, so how can we take that vision of a graduate and kind of work backwards, and what do we need to get there? And so I would probably build on some of the good work that's already done. I think that if I think about, a vision, I envision a place or a school where everyone feels safe, connected, and that they belong. And I think those are really, important at the core of learning. People need to feel safe. Adults too, we all need to feel safe, we need to connected, and we need to feel that we belong. So.
Thank you. Any other questions for Nicole at this time? Okay. We'll go down along the pre-filled questions. So Nicole, this one's kind of a crazy one for you, but which animal best describes your leadership style and why?
Oh my goodness. It seems like it would be a benign question, but it feels really hard. My gosh. I keep thinking about being a dog because I'm a dog person, and my dog is just the most spoiled living thing in our house. But I also think, those dogs, like I think about those dogs that are like loyal and dependable and like steadfast, and I kind of feel like that's me. I think also like a little bit of a cat, because not in a bad way, but I can be very strategic in my approaches. So I don't know if that's an okay
Good
answer.
answers. Good answers. All right. Any other questions for Nicole? Okay. Nicole, what do you think would be the hardest aspects of this job?
I think there would be a learning curve for me as a new person coming in and getting, and I don't know that this would be hard, but it would take some time to learn Hartford School District. And I think, that's important work, and to build those relationships with people. I definitely think that's really important. In talking with the administrative council, they're looking at some of the things they mentioned was, having the support to kind of align the system as a K-12, just being a more unified system. I've done that. I'm still in my role working on that. I feel, I don't know that it's hard, but it's definitely challenging, and it takes time to do that, because you don't just flip something over. It's you have this end point, and you kind of work to get there. And so I think it takes time to do that, but I think in my experience, getting everybody on the same page, aligning, having some of those systems in place is very challenging work.
Thank you. Any other questions for Nicole? Okay. Nicole, if you were to get this job, how would you know that you've been successful 5 years from now?
Well, I'm very evidence data minded. So actually, what I just spent my time doing with the administrative council was talking about the futures protocol, where you envision where you are 5 years from now, and you work your way back. So if I were to get this job, and we were to do that protocol, and we were to do that kind of visioning work, and we work, and we kind of worked back and we mapped it out, I would know that I was successful at leading that, something like that, if we actually got to where we wanted to be 5 years ago. And on a smaller scale, I think it would be setting those goals when you work backwards, and okay, this is where we want to be, and you kind of work back, and you set those measurable goals. And through continuous improvement planning, you set those measurable goals, and you have those benchmarks for yourself.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Nicole? And in Zoom, if you please raise your hand if you have a question. Hearing and seeing none. Nicole, is there anything that you would like to add or discuss or talk about?
It's been a really great experience. I appreciate everyone having me. It's been good energy since I've been in this building. I arrived here early, and I got kind of stuck. I kind of wasn't thinking. I'm like, what was I thinking? It's 3 o'clock or something, and here I am in traffic for school pickup. So I got out of traffic, and I figured out where to park. And it's just kind of like walking, which prompted me to walk through campus. And so I was walking on campus, and it's school. I love school, and the kids are out because it's the end of school, so everybody's just kind of walking around and talking, and it just was really very uplifting, and so it was nice.
Okay, unless there's any final remarks or questions, I think we'll end it here. Thank you, Nicole, for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Nicole.
We'll take a brief intermission, and we'll be back at 4:45 for our final candidate. Thanks. Okay. All right, so welcome back. Our third and final candidate for the assistant superintendent position is Frank Romeo. Frank is currently the principal at the Claremont Middle School. So without further ado, Frank.
All right, thank you very much. First, I just want to say thank you. It's been an honor to be asked to come back and interview for this position. It's very exciting. So I just want to start off a little bit, where am I from, and give you a little background of kind of just who am I and how did I get here. So to start off, I'm from a town called Bayshore, New York on Long Island. It's a little similar, I think, to Hartford. I went to the same high school my dad went to. My grandfather started the Little League in our town. My parents owned a restaurant or catering business in there for 20 years. So kind of a small town. Can't hear me, right? Kind of a smaller town, but one that definitely generations of families have lived there. So I think it's a little similar to Hartford. I think it's important to give you a full disclosure. I am a New York Yankees fan, a Giants fan, and a Rangers fan. Sometimes that goes well, sometimes it doesn't. I'm the oldest of 7. I come from a traditional Italian family, and that picture up there's a picture of sauce. That's what my Sundays for probably every Sunday for 53 years of my life was always about sauce and eating on Sundays with family. My parents are divorced. My dad is a Vietnam vet. He was discharged 100% disabled, and I say that because he does a tremendous amount of work for PTSD, including lectures, and he wrote a book, something that I'm very proud of for him. My mom, unfortunately, passed away about 8-9 years ago from cancer, but I was fortunate enough to be able to take care of her the last 2 years of her life here in Vermont, and that was a blessing for me to be able to do that and kind of repay everything she gave to me. I have up here kind of where my brothers and sisters, my siblings, are currently residing. We have 2 in Brooklyn, New York, 2 in Asheville, North Carolina, 1 in Poughkeepsie, and then I live in Sharon. We're a very close family. We stay together. We talk all the time. We fight all the time, kind of like all families do. So a little bit about them. How did I get here? So a little bit, again, a family business. They owned a restaurant and a catering business in town for about 20 years. I always thought that I was going to take over that business. That was always my goal. And my dad said, nope, you're going to go off to college or the military. He said, this is not for you. And so I wound up at Roanoke College, where I studied history and played lacrosse, graduated 4 years. From there, I went into finance, and I thought that was the career that I was going to take. I worked in the city for 10 years. And I put 9/11 up there with the towers because I was in the city at the time when that happened. I actually couldn't get home for 2 days. And I was able to volunteer with the Red Cross at Ground Zero, and it really was life-changing for me. And what I learned is that I was really concerned about my family, seeing family, and making sure that I was there. And so I knew that I wanted to take a different path, and that path was education. And so I started my path going to get my master's degree. And so eventually I did that, but I moved to Baltimore to take a teaching job. I was there for 10 years, and I taught social studies. I was the co-director of a remedial program. And I was a coach, and I coached hockey and lacrosse. I'm very fortunate to win championships in both. It was in Baltimore where I studied and got my second master's degree in supervision and administration. Okay, please. And you can hit the next, because I think it's gonna, yeah. I think we keep going for some reason. Yep, there we go. All right, so I have this picture up here. My students had to do a presentation on administration, and they chose this picture to put in there. And so this is how my students see me. So I guess I'm gonna embrace it and say, I don't see it, but they did, so. After that, I was in South Royalton. I was an assistant principal at South Royalton for 5 years. I was also the athletic director for 4 years. I coached there as well, and I coached baseball and soccer. And from there, I moved on to Claremont. South Royalton went through a merger, for those that were around, with all the surrounding schools. And for me, it was a good time for me to see if I wanted to get my own building. And so I went over to Claremont, where I'm currently the principal. I've been there for 7 years. I'm also a mentor in the New Hampshire Principals Association, so I do have a mentor. I've been doing that for 2 years. It's been great work to be able to give back to some new up-and-coming principals. And I also coached there as well, and I was able to coach lacrosse for a couple of years. Some of the things that I have up here, or sort of a little bit more about who I am and what I bring, is love for family. We have a great family, and there's a little bit of a cheat sheet you guys have about that, and I can talk a little bit more as we go on. My commitment to my community and working within my community. I grew up that way. Like I said, my parents owned a business. My grandfather started the Little League. So it was very important to me to be able to not only work within my community and give back to my community. And one of the things that I'm looking for and look for is a community that embraces the school as much as the school embraces the community. And I know that's what you have here at Hartford, and that's really what drew me up to applying here. Honesty, integrity, and passion and compassion. I have passion for the things that I do, and there's so many things that I am involved in, and a great deal of passion for that, and compassion for those, for family members and for kiddos, and working with them and understanding the needs of all learners. That picture there, I put that up. That's my high school picture, and I put it up there because I look back and think, if I look at that picture and would never believe that I'm standing in front of you talking about education, because I was not a star student when I started in middle school and high school. I kind of grew into that when I went to college and beyond. And so I think one of the draws for me when I look at that picture is I was lost, and somebody was able to work with me and kind of put me on a good path. And so that's a good reminder when I look at that picture that it doesn't come easy. And so I kind of like that picture. Thank you. And you can hit it again. So it should bounce into, there we go. So why Hartford? Why am I here and what drew me here? The first is the people, the staff and the people. And I do know some folks that work here, but I also live in Sharon, Vermont. And I know, and I just spoke with the admin council, that when I was at South Royalton, I know that Hartford changed the trajectory of some students for us, especially the ones that went to the tech center. And I know if they didn't have the tech center, we probably wouldn't hear the success that they had. And so I know I know the people that work here. I know the community, the pride that you have in this school, living in Sharon. I have family up here. Our kids are going to be coming here next year as freshmen from school choice, and the important thing was that they had options and they had opportunity, and Hartford had all of those things for them, and that was important for us. So when I get asked why Hartford, or you know, how did you wind up? If we're willing to send our kids here and wanting to send our kids here, then that says a lot about the community and the people that you are and what you're going to offer for all kids. And I'll tell you, the team that I met, the dedication and commitment during this process, and the pride that the folks have, whoever put together that search committee and hiring committee should be commended, because everybody had passion. One of the questions I asked folks is, what are you most proud of working at Hartford? And the answers were pouring in. It more had to cut people off to say, I got other questions. But there's so much pride and a commitment to this building and to this community and these kiddos. And I think to the T, when I just asked that question, it was about the kids, the kiddos, the programs, and the things that are offered and the people that you work with. And when you're interviewing in a place, you can't ask for anything more than the community in which you're trying to be a part of. So I thought that was great. The picture up there, I added, that's our daughter, Maddie. She'll be graduating from college this year. She also is in the Army ROTC, and so she'll be going off to Fort Knox this summer to finish her advanced training, and then she'll be getting an assignment. So I put that up there. One of the other pictures you have on there is our son, Robbie, who is in the Coast Guard, and he's been almost about a year, and we're going to get to see him for Fleet Week over Memorial Weekend in New York. So there's a picture of him in one of the other things that I have. I think there's one other slide there maybe. And so what I have here is just a little bit of a glance. So just my experience, my family, talk about the twin boys. We also own pets. And so those are our 3 dogs. That's our family at New York. We take our kiddos, because we're big hockey fans. I converted everyone to a Rangers fan, which is great.
We try to take them to a game at least once a year. They have a favorite pizza spot in New York. And again, that picture at the top, that's what my stoves have always looked like on Sundays growing up as a kid. It's family dinners. So if you can hit one more. Up there is just a little, again, sort of a reflection on who I am, and what you get is acceptance and trust, and honesty, integrity. So, that's me. So I left time for questions only because I talk too much and talk too fast. Change it out. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so there we go. I don't have to do it over again, do I?
Perfectly on schedule here.
All right, perfect. So I wanted to open up to questions if people have of myself, my background, why Hartford.
So if you have a question, please come up to the microphone, or if you're joining us virtually on Zoom, please raise your hand and we'll get you on your question.
Hi, Frank.
Hello.
Moving into this role means being further removed from students.
Yes.
How would this change affect how you support students?
Sure. That's a great question, because I got into education, my why, and I always ask this of folks, is why are you in education? It's for kids, right? It's to support kiddos, watch them grow, help them build, help them dream. What I learned about myself as I've progressed from a teacher to a director to an administrator is that you can still have an impact on student growth. It becomes a wider range. And so as I've moved to administrator, I saw that I had the ability to impact more students on a global sense. And I really enjoyed setting up and working with other peoples and assisting them in doing that as well. And so it wasn't just my classroom of 20 kids. It then grew into a grade level, and then it grew into a building, and now it's growing into a district. And so if you love kids and you love supporting and working with people, and I love coming to work, it's being able to work as a team and still be able to have an impact with students. I'm also a very hands-on type person where I love to visit buildings. I go out and take batting practice with some of our sports, and I coach, and I'll go in and sit through the play and try to get a part in it. So I still try to do the things that help me connect to students while still supporting those folks that really have boots on the ground and giving them the things that they need to be successful. Thank you.
Any other questions for Frank? Okay, I guess we'll go to one of our pre-filled questions. Frank, what do you think would be the hardest aspects of this job?
I think the hard, I read through the job description when I sat down, and it really should say anything and everything at all times, because that's what the position is, right? The position of an administrator, the position of an educator is you can plan out your day. You don't really know what's going to happen, so you got to be prepared for everything. I think the beginning part of what will be the toughest is just building those relationships and building that trust, right? That takes time. It's not just given to you, and it's earned. And I welcome that because I know the type of person that I am, but I see that as the biggest hurdle. How do I get myself in front of the people, in front of the buildings, in front of students, and get to be known? I think that's going to be one of the biggest challenges. I think challenges that we face as administrators is monetary, is budget, right? We're asked to do more with less, depending on where we are. There's increased needs for students. And so I think overall, the biggest challenges are magnified now from a principal of a building to a district. But I'm excited to be able to work with, again, the team that I met, and the vision that they have and the things that they talked about, very exciting. And so that's what I'm looking at as a whole. But there's always challenges. There will be. That's education. I think the first thing for me is just building relationships and the trust so that I'm able to be as effective as I can be.
Thank you, Frank. Any other questions for Frank?
Hi, Frank. Part of this role involves working with supervision and evaluation. And so in your experience as a building principal, how do you see that working at a district level when you're also doing that with building administrators. What's been successful for you with that process?
So I think that's a great question. One of the roles as an administrator, right, is sort of the growth of your faculty and staff, and how are you supporting their growth as they want to advance through their career and they want to sort of hone their craft. So one of the things that I've always talked about with my folks is I don't want to be a snoopervisor. I don't want to just sneak around and taking notes. I want it to be a collaborative experience. I want to be able to walk into a classroom and be able to know what are the things that you're looking to work on. So I often will have conversations with our teachers at the beginning of the year. What are 1 or 2 goals? I know that we have our goal setting that we put in PD and we put that in a system, right? But I like to talk with people, and so tell me some of the things that you're looking to work on personally and professionally, and how can I be supportive? And so, again, I don't want to be a supervisor. I want to be part of the process. I don't want to walk in and say, ha, gotcha, you didn't do that. But here are the great things that you are doing. How can I help support that, right? I don't like when people come in and say, I'm here to make you better. Well, I might not need to be better. I just might need to be able to hone something or craft something a little differently. So the communication, the transparency of what you're trying to do and being collaborative about that. And so you take that right on a smaller scale, and then you work that into now at a district. I have a new assistant principal, right? This is his 2nd year, and one of the most important things for me is, what does his growth look like? How am I supporting him? How do I get him to sort of take next steps that he needs to? Because in the end, right, if I'm out one day or whatever the case may be, that person is the next person in charge, and I need to have confidence that they're able to grow and they're able to make decisions. And the way you do that is you work together. And so that's what I've been doing with him, and so that wherever his path takes him, I know that he's prepared for that.
Thank you, Frank. Any other questions for Frank? Okay. Frank, if you were to get this job, how would you know that you'd been successful 5 years from now?
I think what that would look like is I like constant feedback. So I'm always asking folks sort of, I'm hard on myself, and probably no one's harder, but I like to solicit information. I like to sit down and sort of look at, we were just talking about this, one of the questions I asked the admin council is, how do you evaluate your building? How do you evaluate your staff? And how do you evaluate yourself at the end of the year? In other words, what do you do to take a look and say, this was great, this worked, this we still need to work on, and let's not ever do that again. But how do you do that process, and what does that look like? And so for us, we put it on a board. I have in my office a spot for each of the different groups in my building. So my admin team, my BLT team, the SPED team, and they're allowed to come in and write down anything they want on that board as a talking point, so that when we have meetings, I go in and I look at the board to say, hey, what's going on? But on that is also the idea of, what are things we need to do to improve collectively? What are ways that I can improve what I'm doing? And so if you have an open dialogue with folks, and if you engage all stakeholders, Abraham Lincoln called it his public opinion bath, right? That he would meet with the public, he would meet with folks to kind of get an understanding of what he was doing and how he was doing. So I think if you open it up and able to take some of that criticism and take some of that feedback and then be able to work together, I think that's how you grow, and I think that's how I would evaluate.
Okay, thank you, Frank. Any other questions from the public or on Zoom? If you have a question from Frank, please raise your hand if you're on Zoom. Otherwise, come up to the microphone. Otherwise, we'll continue on with our questions. Frank, what is your vision for the Hartford School District?
Well, one of the things that I noticed when I was on the website is actually that you have vision of a student. So I think for me, I want to embed myself in the things that are going on. I want to be a part of what that is. We just talked about the alignment of elementary schools. We have 3 elementary schools in Claremont, and it's often difficult to make sure they're all on the same page. And so that's one thing we just talked about, is how do we start that work? How do you continue that work? How do you make sure all the students that are coming up to that middle school are all getting the same discipline, the same curriculum? So my vision for Hartford is to be a part of all of that collected together, people all working together and rowing in that direction so that everybody knows what the portrait of a graduate is and are all part of the next steps, whether that be college and career readiness and where they're headed.
Okay, thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Frank? Okay. Frank, we're gonna give you kind of a crazy question here that we've been asking the other candidates.
Okay, let me think. Hold on. Okay.
Which animal best describes your leadership style and why?
Sure. Wow. I've never been asked that question. And so many things come to mind. I think as a leader, one of the things you have to be able to do is adapt. You have to be able to wear many hats and make all these decisions so quickly. So what animal does something like that? It's like I don't know. I don't want to say like a lion because that would be more of a predator that you're like pouncing on and being like, you don't have any opinion. Being so collaborative, wow, that is a crazy question. I think that I would fall somewhere in the ape family in regards to being able to lead a pack, being able to make decisions, being able to take on the responsibilities of everyone that's within that. It's a very communal and it's about family. And so I think that probably would fit most likely where I would be.
Okay, thank you, Frank.
Went a long way for that.
Any other questions for Frank at this time? Okay. Hearing none. Zoom, any questions, please raise your hands. Okay. Frank, is there anything that you would like to talk about or discuss?
I think the only thing that I'd like to say, again, reiterate, is that I know this community, living as close that I do, and I'm looking for a place that the community supports the school and the school supports the community. And I know the product that you have, again, and I know people that work here, and I know the pride that they take. And when people come to work here, they don't leave, and that says so much about an institution and about who you are. I know some of the kids that have graduated from here that have gone on. Our kids play sports and interact with folks that are here. And so the quality of the community and the people that are in it are something that I want to be a part of. And so I've just welcome this opportunity to be here, but feel like I belong here as well.
Okay, thank you, Frank. This does bring us to the end of our evening, so I'd like to thank everyone for attending and tuning in. Please be sure to fill out the survey on the candidates you've seen. Again, there's QR codes all around the room here. And if you're joining us virtually, there is a link on the front of our school page. That's hsdvt.com. And if you could please fill out the survey by noon tomorrow, that's Thursday, May 1st at noon, so the search committee can generate that feedback. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.